This is Daniel Mart back again. I'm an actor and filmmaker based out of South Florida, and for this video, we're gonna be talking about the fact that Jimmy Kimmel Live has been canceled because about comments that he said about Charlie Kirk. So yeah, we're still on this, I guess. So, if you guys saw my previous video about Charlie Kirk's passing, his execution, and all the demonic, wickedly evil reactions to that, well, I mean, that more or less explains how I feel. But I think that most of the reactions are wicked, evil, and demonic. Simple as that. And in the days following his execution, his martyrdom, there's been a lot of reactions, basically put, to his death. And again, a lot of them have been very unfavorable. We've seen mass firings, to the point that here on Wikipedia, I'm looking at my computer here, that even to the point that on Wikipedia, there's a whole article talking about Charlie Kirk firings and people who have been fired from their jobs because of the comments, them celebrating Charlie Kirk and his passing, which I actually think it's actually good. If you're going to react to the murder, the execution, the martyrdom of a person, regardless if you agree with them or not, then, you should reap the consequences. Very plainly put, I think you should reap the consequences. And even in the celebrity space, we've seen that we've seen that happen already. There was just to make sure, the Gretchen Felker Warden. She was a writer for DC. She just had her Red Hood series canceled. She only had one issue, which I think was released the day of or the day before Charlie Kirk's death. She celebrated it, and then she got canceled pretty quickly. I think more infamously, Matthew Dowd. He said some comments on MSNBC. The comment specifically is one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this, who is constantly sort of pushing this sort of hate speech or sort of aimed at certain groups. And I always go back to hateful thoughts leads to hateful words, which then leads to hateful actions. So that's a pretty charged comment, all things considered. And, again, we have a bunch of other examples. Another recent one is Karen Attiah. She was fired from the Washington Post, again, for celebrating his death. And, of course, we've seen this all over the place. We've seen the military get into this as well with Pete Hegseth? I believe that's how you say his name. And Marco Rubio, they're going after anybody in the military who, celebrated his death, and they're going to be fired on the spot. So we've seen a lot of this in general, and I guess Jimmy Kimmel is the most recent victim of this. Even outside of this whole Charlie Kirk situation, for those who know me, they know that I do not like Jimmy Kimmel at all. I think he is very weak. I think he's not a comedian. He is one of the he gives a bad name to comedians because he's just not funny. I find him to be extremely just boring. I find him to be extremely just inconsiderate, I guess would be the best word to use. I mean, I think the best example of his inconsideration, I don't even think that's a word, but his inconsideration is how he handled the Oscar situation with La La Land and Moonlight, and how he basically tried to blame, oh my gosh, I'm forgetting the actor right now, Faye Dunaway and Warren Beatty, how he tried to throw them under the bus, especially Warren Beatty. Every time he hosts the Oscars, I'm just why does he have to host the Oscars? He's the worst host ever. He's worse than Ellen. Say what you want about Ellen. Ellen can actually host a show. You know what I mean? He can't. I'm just sorry. I categorically, I just do not like Jimmy Kimmel. Those who know me know that I cannot stand Jimmy Kimmel at all. I find him to be extremely boring, fake, weak, wishy-washy. And in all fairness, you can say that about most any other talk show host. Fallon, I often hear those complaints about Jimmy Fallon as well. Conan O'Brien, you don't really hear that much out of Conan O'Brien. I don't think he's been relevant for a few years, to be honest with you. But there's that too. But out of the big talk show hosts that I semi-regularly watched in the past 10 years, Kimmel's just the one that I'm get off of my screen. Get off of my screen. Please, for the love of God, get off of my screen. And he is now, finally, off of my screen. So, hallelujah! I should be celebrating. Keyword there is should. Because I'm going to do something that I cannot believe I'm actually going to do. I'm going to defend Jimmy Kimmel. For those who know me, know that this is a big, what are you doing type of situation. So I've watched the past 3 Jimmy Kimmel monologues, because you know how all these talk shows hosts are. They have a 10-minute monologue before they get onto the actual show. And this is why this is the particular comment that got him canceled. And it is what he said. It's the show that he did on September 15th. And he said, the MAGA gang is desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score the political points from it. So that's apparently the main comment that got him banned or got him off or suspended from ABC. There are some other stuff there involved, how he discussed just other stuff in regards to Trump and Epstein files. And I'm looking at this comment. I'm looking at everything he said. I watched the videos, the past 3 videos from his past 3 episodes. And I'm just going there. I'm like, this is what he got canned for? This is what he's getting canceled for? What? Like I said, I do not like Jimmy Kimmel at all. I cannot stand the guy. I've been wanting him to be off the air for such a long time. But for this to be the thing that he's getting banned or off the air of, I don't agree with it. Like, I'm being completely honest with you. I do not agree with it. So, like, you have your typical thing, and keep in mind, this is Hollywood. Hollywood's all made up of liberals for the most part. I mean, you do have some Republicans in the mix, you know, like Willie Nelson, for example, or Ted Nugent, or I think pretty sure like Vince Vaughn and Mark Wahlberg are also Republicans, you know. But, you know, not to get into the minutiae of it all, but, like, you know, again, by and large, Hollywood is liberal. So, of course, I expect him to take shots at Trump. And, again, he's a comedian. He's not a good comedian, but, you know, he's a comedian. So if he's trying to take a shot at Trump, even if it's not funny, okay, cool. It's whatever. It's like, it's okay. It's just a bad joke. I really don't care. It is what it is. So I'm kind of expecting him to make some lackluster jokes against Trump. But if I'm being completely honest, I don't think he should be suspended. I don't think he should be expelled. I don't think he should be canceled because of that. I think, and this could really go back into a bigger discussion in terms of what cancel culture is and woke culture and all of that, but I feel just for the same reasons that you shouldn't cancel. Let's say Charlie Kirk wasn't murdered. Let's say someone was there just trying to cancel him for X, Y, and Z. Let's say that's it, and somebody was just trying to shut him down. And let's say he said a comment that was maybe taken out of context, and now Turning Point, even though he owns Turning Point, but let's say Turning Point, for whatever reason, it's like, okay, because you said that comment, we're not going to let you do the rest of your tour. I'm saying that as an example. I think that is wrong. I think Charlie Kirk, in this case, in this example, hypothetical example, he has the right to express his opinion, regardless if people agree with it or not. He has the right to express his opinion as long as it doesn't promote hate speech, which by and large, even the stuff I disagree with, I wouldn't go as far as saying that's hate speech. Likewise, this particular comment in general, the MAGA gang is desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. I don't think that incites hate speech. That's just his opinion on the situation. Now, facts are facts, where the kid, I'm not going to say his name because I don't want to give this monster any attention whatsoever, but this kid, yes, he came from a Republican household. Yes, he grew up with guns around him, but his family has also actively stated that, hey, he was leaning towards a different direction politically. Furthermore, he had a transgender partner. You know, I'm not going to get into that whole situation right now because I for this current topic, I think that's kind of irrelevant. But the point is, he may have, and I forget who said this. I think one of the police officers who arrested him said this, or one of the governors from Utah said this. I don't remember who said it exactly, but it's one of those things. Just because he grew up in a conservative household does not mean that he himself is conservative. So Kimmel, he has every right to express that opinion. And all things considered, he is not the only person who has expressed this opinion where, oh, he is conservative, so don't try to use this point against us. He's not the first person who has said this, and he won't be the last. Regardless if he's right or wrong, that's not the first time this comment has been said. By that virtue, however, I don't think he should be canceled for this comment. Even looking at all the monologues, I mean, what else is he going to be canceled for? Taking a cheap shot at Donald Trump for, you know, not holding hands with Melania Trump, or because of the Epstein files. I mean, again, everybody in Hollywood also wants to know what's going on with the Epstein files, you know? Everybody in Hollywood wants to know what's the deal with Gaza, Israel, Palestine, that whole situation. People want to know what's going on with Russia, Ukraine. You know, he talked in one of the monologues, he talked about the Evergreen school shooting that happened on the same day that Charlie Kirk died last week. You know, he talked about that. In one of the monologues, actually, I don't think it was this monologue, and I don't think it was one of these recent monologues, but I have heard him say comments in the past, recently, about the whole girl who was murdered on the train, Irina Zakutska, I believe is how you pronounce her name. You know, the girl who was murdered on the train. So, like, he's saying all these comments, and again, similar, regardless if you agree with Charlie Kirk or not, it's the same thing. Regardless if you agree with Jimmy Kimmel or not, I think he has he should be allowed to express his views, again, regardless if you agree with him or not. Now, as much as I don't like Jimmy Kimmel, one, I'm happy he didn't get murdered, so there's that too. But at the same time, as much as I don't like Jimmy Kimmel and wish he was canceled for something, I actually do not think that this is the thing he should be canceled for. If anything, this is kind of a non-issue, and it has been reported in the past, and I'll be honest, I haven't done a deep dive on this officially, but it has been reported in the past that Donald Trump, he does have some ties to like ABC and some of these other television companies, and because of that, and because of how he wants to give funding to some of these companies, he's trying to lean them to like report certain stuff or not report certain stuff. Again, I don't know the specifics of it, if I'm being completely honest with you, but that's something I've heard, and ABC is theoretically one of those companies that would be, I guess, under advisement under Trump, if that makes sense. So maybe there's something around there, like maybe Donald Trump himself is trying to censor Jimmy Kimmel or something like that. Like that's definitely a theory. Do I personally subscribe to it? Not officially, but I wouldn't be surprised type of situation. Yeah, I'm very surprised to say this, but for as much as I do not like Jimmy Kimmel, for as much as a weak, funnyless corporate show that he is, I do not think he should be canceled for this, straight up. And I'm very surprised to be defending Jimmy Kimmel, because I categorically do not like Jimmy Kimmel. I think he's one of the biggest blights on comedy, straight up. I think he's one of the biggest just eyesores. Like, everything he says, I cannot stand him. His voice literally just like, it's a grating in my ear. And yet I'm defending him. I never thought I would see the day where me of all people, am defending Jimmy Kimmel. But I'm defending Jimmy Kimmel. I do not think he should be canceled for this. He's giving his opinion, regardless if you agree with his opinion or not. And because his opinion does not incite hate speech like Mike Dowd's comments did, and unlike Mike Dowd where he wasn't like celebrating it, because that's the other thing, Jimmy Kimmel wasn't celebrating the death. He was just stating the facts. That's the other thing. So like, if he was celebrating Charlie Kirk dying, then okay, cancel him. But he wasn't celebrating Charlie Kirk's dying. He was being... He was saying how this is a tragedy, even though he didn't agree with Charlie Kirk's views. This is still a tragedy. I'm being honest with you. I do not think that Jimmy Kimmel should be canceled, and I'm just as shocked as you guys, especially for those who know me and know that I do not like Jimmy Kimmel. I don't think he should be canceled. So yeah, that's what I have to say. Everybody else, like Mike Dowd, who said those comments, yeah, cancel Mike Dowd for sure. Karen Attiah, you celebrated the death, get canceled, I don't care. You know, the DC writer, Gresham Falcon Martin, you celebrated the death, get canceled. But Jimmy Kimmel, hey, congratulations. You're not a completely terrible human being. You actually have some empathy. And again, in all fairness, he is one of the more, if we want to talk about emotional intelligence, I guess, or emotional feelings towards others, I do think Jimmy Kimmel is one of the more empathetic people in that regard. But, yeah. You did better than some of your contemporaries. So, yeah. Jimmy Kimmel, congrats. One of our biggest haters is actually defending you. I don't think you should be canceled. And ABC is actually kind of weak if they're canceling you for a pretty milquetoast comment at the end of the day, where you're literally just giving your opinion. Wrong, based on the facts, but you're still just giving your opinion. And again, you're not the only person who's expressed that same train of thought anyways. So, yeah. That's basically for now. Comment all that, tell me, let me know what are your thoughts on him getting canceled. And yeah, that's basically for now. This is Daniel Mart signing off.